Today in the series 2 of digital mapping of underground assets, we have a very special guest, a stalwart of gas pipeline industry, Shri A.K. Tripathi, Executive Director, Projects, Gas Authority of India Limited. Uh, he is a stalwart for gas pipelines and petrochemicals, having a diverse exposure for over 32 years on corporate project management, project developments, and maintenance operations and maintenance. And he has served as head of O&M for corporate office functions for GAIL, and he's on the board of Bhaginagar Gas Limited, then Bengal Gas Limited, and Konkan LNG. Welcome, sir. Welcome on this show of digital mapping of underground assets. First question that you have a rich experience in oil and gas pipeline industry, and how do you see digital mapping, especially with the city gas, which is also an asset in underground?
Good afternoon, Rajiv. And in the present context, this is a very good question or very important issue for deliberations. As you know, majority of the geographical areas has been allocated to the different city gas distribution companies.
Correct.
And they had been given some timeline that during those timelines they have to complete the certain length of steel network, as well as they have to reach out to the some given numbers of the domestic customers also. So for doing all these things, you need to have a concrete plan to lay the pipeline.
Correct.
For which you need certain enablers, like one is that the permission from the relevant authorities.
Correct.
It may be government or it may be some private entities also. But the most important part is that, like, when you are planning to lay the pipeline, you should know the utilities or infrastructure which has already been laid near those areas where you are going to lay the pipeline. So for doing that, you should be aware about that, like how to go ahead in those situations. So for that, the conventional method is to go for trial pit, which takes time, and moreover sometimes it is not allowed also. So in this situation, this digital mapping of those infrastructures along the common usable locations,
Correct.
if those things are available, then it will make the things much more simpler.
Sir, there are close to 33,000 city gas pipelines, which we understand from the data in the urban areas, and they have a common RW with, as you rightly said, there is a optical fiber going, there is a sewer pipeline going, and water pipelines going, city gas is also going, and power lines are also going.
Yeah.
So how you already emphasized the importance of mapping. So how important it becomes for the city gas pipelines?
Basically, if you see the infrastructure development for the city gas entities, they have to lay their infrastructure at those locations where already somebody is living.
Correct.
Somebody has made his home or flat.
Correct.
Or some factories or some business centers. So during those areas, you have to lay your pipeline. So laying a pipeline in a cross country area, it's much more simpler in comparison to laying in the already developed areas. So for that, it's very much necessary that you should know that who else are there, so that while laying the pipeline, you should not damage their infrastructure or their facilities.
Correct.
Which will cause inconvenience to the user of those facilities.
Correct.
And also it may happen that it can lead to some accident also. So considering all these aspects, it's important to know that, like, who else is there at those locations where you are going to lay the pipeline.
So you mean to say, if the map is
available
on hand, then it is easier for the pipelines.
Yeah, and moreover, you can like, if execution part you consider, if you are already knowing that at this location this entity is there, so whatever precautions you have to take, you can take in advance. So unforeseen situation will not come that you will be getting halted at some location, and you will wait for the necessary availability of equipment, then only you can go ahead.
And of course, the clearances from the authorities becomes much more
Yeah,
easier.
this is easy for those
Yeah.
entities also who are going to allow you for laying your own network.
Road network. Sir, you must have heard that BSNL has come up with the laying of 800,000 meters of fiber optics across the nation, especially in the rural areas. But they have come forward with the specific requirements that GIS mapping and bore logging is compulsory, and that to the real-time data should be available to the authorities. How do you see this with relation to the city gas pipelines? It is a newer thing and probably enforced by the government and could work on the city gas as well.
Like if you take the case of BSNL, no, they have started a revolutionary thing that they are going to log all those details since beginning itself. And as you might be aware that already NHAI also is also doing in the similar fashion.
Okay.
What they are doing, wherever they are going to construct a new road or expansion, they are also recording all those things and putting it on their website also.
That's great.
So that if you are planning to have your own network along those highways or in the corridor of them, then you will be aware that this highway is going to be like this, and accordingly you can plan your infrastructure adjacent to that or at those locations. So as far as city gas distribution is concerned, they have to think about this, and they should think also, because this is going to help them out during the crisis situation, or like when you are going for the some expansion, or whenever you are going to do some maintenance also.
Correct.
So that will be a great help to them. Otherwise, what is happening, the people who are managing the whole thing, no, they are getting changed after some time.
Correct.
So if it is available on some record or paper, it will be very helpful for them.
That's great. Great piece of advice from you, sir. Sir, another thing is like rapid expansion and congestion underground is going on. So, do you really think that the gas corridor is a must now?
Very new thing, but I was.
It's more prone to means it's a very.
That is a good idea, but basically it has to be thought in that way. Like what is happening? We are laying one of our pipeline along the highway for something around 300 kilometer, and what we are facing over there, we have been advised by the state government that you should lay this pipeline along the highway.
Correct.
And the same has been agreed by us also, because we were not able to push through in that project. So when we started laying that pipeline, earlier it looks to be very easy. But when we started laying the pipeline, we could find out multiple utilities in those corridors where the permission has been given. So if I consider in that way, then it will be a important thing that it should have a separate, like sometimes it happens that you can't lay your pipeline when some power cable is laid in that corridor. So if dedicated corridor is met, then it will be a great thing for the pipeline companies and as well as natural gas pipeline.
And it is thoroughly mapped so that everybody knows where it is.
It should be like, it should be available, in my view, it should be available to the entities so that they should know when they are planning to lay some pipeline or some section of pipelines, then they should be aware that here these things are there where you can put your pipeline also.
Sir, after this whole discussion, what I could understand that sharing of digital data, mapping of all these assets is very, very important. So, do you really think that the GAIL is coming forward by mapping their own assets and sharing it with other underground asset service providers? Is it going to come through?
Already, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, they are discussing, and they have developed that PM Gati Shakti portal, where not only GAIL, other entities are also started sharing their data over there. And I feel that if it is available over there, then when, like as I said in the last question, whenever such situation comes that it has to be like some new project has to come up, so they will be aware about that. And rather, it has been advised by the ministry that we should try to use it 100% for laying a new project. And moreover, NHAI and other entities, they are doing that. So sooner or later it has to come in case of the natural gas pipeline also. And naturally it will be helpful to the other
Entity
companies also.
as well. Sir, thank you, sir. Your inputs have been really good, and it will go a long way for the industry and other service providers to serve. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Morning, friends. We are here in the series 2 of GIS mapping and bore logging, which we have taken forward as a digital mapping for underground assets. And in the series 2, we have with us a very stalwart of HGD industry, Mr. Vipin Gupta, Managing Director, Trenchless Engineering Services Private Limited, Delhi. And he has been in this industry for 30 years and has done numerous projects in overseas and in India. And he was, let you know that he was pioneer in rescue of 41 construction laborers who was stuck in Silkaria tunnel in Uttarakhand, where his auger boring machine was there, and he was continuously there for close to 40-45 days to help them to rescue those construction workers. Welcome, Mr. Vipin.
Hi, Rajiv.
Uh,
Great to have you here, and this is going to be a great discussion, I hope, today. By the way, it was only 14 days to rescue the Silkyara people, not 45 days.
oh, I'm sorry, I misjudged. So, Mr. Vipin, you have laid numerous pipelines across India and overseas,
Yeah.
and bore logging and GIS mapping has been the part of cross-country pipelines at any time. But when you start the project, it has been seen that when you open up the earth, you find a lot of utilities below the ground.
Yeah.
So do you really get all the data pre-hand before you start the project?
Normally for cross-country pipeline, some data is of course provided, but and in international places that we have been drilling, the data is much more clear and better. But in India, unfortunately, that has been missing. I mean, and there are always disclaimers being filed by both the contractors and the clients that the data is needs to be rechecked at your own end, and anything mentioned will be not claimable or
Correct.
anything. Yes, so there's a issue about it, and it is not clear. Absolutely not clear.
So in India, we have seen that bore logging and GIS mapping for underground utilities, which we call them an assets, maybe a city gas or power lines or telecom, or sewer or water. These are not the norms, and day by day the earth is getting congested, especially in the urban areas.
doubt.
So how do you look forward that how the digital mapping is going to help us in this?
Utility mapping is very, very crucial for the nation, for the city, for municipalities. It minimizes the damage and the construction delays, because now you know where your telecom is there, when your water and sewer is there, where your electrical is there. It contributes to the public safety, because if there's electrical cable,
Yeah.
and you know where it is, you can it can be safe. If you don't know, then you can hit it, and that could be a hazard, there could be a death.
Yeah, what we have seen over the years, the ROW is really small, and there are layers of equipments we are going down: the sewer, the water,
utilities, yes.
the utility, the OFCs, the city gas, and the numerous telecom providers are getting into these things. So how do you think this can be mapped and could be useful to the government authorities?
Well, I mean, if it is mapped and you give precise coordinates, then the next contractor will come and plan the project at the planning stage, that he has to go below a certain level, or he has to go in a right alignment, as in left and right. So I think that is a must. Otherwise, nowadays, how many electrical cables we are touching every day, and then the other contractor comes in, and then they have to repair it, and all the construction delays. I mean, a delay is a cost.
So you mean to say we need to sensitize the government authorities to help to help the other service providers. You mean to say
Absolutely,
that?
absolutely, absolutely. I think every utility company has to have his own data. The water people have to have it. The sewer people have to have it. The electrical people, the utility
City gas,
BSCS,
city
city
gas.
gas have to have it.
Yeah.
Your telecom people have to have it. I think it has to have come in a national grid that
Grid,
all the
that's true.
data of all the utilities can be found at one nodal agency. I mean, I would go as much as that there should be a ministry just for this data mapping. And this is huge.
Yeah,
It's absolutely huge.
it's a good suggestion that government comes forward
yeah.
on this
Maybe it comes under the Ministry of Urban Planning, and there should be a
Yeah.
separate department, IS officer leading the force on this.
That's a very good suggestion. There is an upcoming telecom project for more than 800,000 kilometers, and I think BSNL has taken a leap forward by asking all the contractors or all the principal installation agencies that they have to do the GIS mapping and bore logging, and the data has to go real time. What do you have to say about this?
Oh, absolutely, Frank. I think BSNL, hats off to BSNL to even think about it and ask the contractors or the stakeholders to do this. And I think somebody has to take the lead. And since BSNL has taken the lead, really, I tip my hat to them. And I think the other people have to follow it. And once this data, I mean, I think they are the biggest telecom provider. So if they can get into this, then at least they can say that, look, this can happen. You just have to think about it and work on it. I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We had a research on how much telecom fiber optics below the ground in India, and we found it's close to 4 million kilometers.
Imagine that.
And still we don't have anything. So means this initiative from BSNL could be a boon for the nation.
It will be a game changer, no doubts, no doubts about it. It's going to be a game changer, absolutely.
And during my previous interviews with other companies, they highlighted that NHAI has to come forward because what we learned that they have the ROWs, they own the ROW.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
I think yes, NHAI owns the major right of way along the national highways, but then I think just like you mentioned, there's a 4 million kilometers. I don't think so NHAI has that kind of right of way. So what I'm saying is NHAI is a great company which has a lot of ROU, but the other state municipalities or the city municipalities have to come and contribute in this. I mean, just alone 1 or 2 agencies is not going to cut it. It's very important, but what I want to emphasize is that the city municipalities have to come to the party.
Any suggestions for upcoming contractors or for the other service providers how they should move forward on digital mapping of underground assets?
I think they have to upgrade their equipment, which has to be digitally enabled. I mean, nowadays you get Google on every one of your phones, so I don't see why it is not on your trackers, and it can be mapped accurately and a good record. And I think the owners like BSNL or Airtel, they should enforce the condition that this has to be logged and submitted as a part of ABD.
Real time.
Yeah, real time and submitted as part of ABD drawings, and they have to own the data. Take the ownership that the data that has been given is true. Because right now there's nothing which is accurate.
Thank you, Mr. Vipin, for your valuable time and valuable suggestions to the upcoming contractors and to the industry. I hope this goes more forward on.
I hope too. Yeah. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vipin.
Thanks again.